right? We did intuitive messages. How was that for you? Something different, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
Did you feel like you were going to go to hell at any point?
I did feel like that, but it's like, this feels too close to heaven for me to even be thinking about hell right now. And then you think about, well, I've always heard God. That was my thought. I don't need this to hear God. But then you hear God um, through all of the teachings and all of the misconceptions. You hear God through all of the theology. I no longer heard him through theology anymore. I heard him, it was sort of like when you go into a dark room, darkness and light can't dwell there together.
Right.
Light overshadows that room when you open the door. Mm-hmm. And I felt like I opened a door to God, and he allowed that light to come in, and it just overshadowed those dark things and places in my life.
But that's what surrender does, though, right?
Yes.
That's what surrender does.
Mm-hmm.
And you had a couple of principles and a couple of divine prescriptions that helped you out this time we spent together. What I call divine prescriptions helpful, or principles helpful for you?
They were daily medicines. I took those words, digested them, and let them do the work inside me. I mean, it's not a fantasy thing, because it's tough when it feels like your whole inside is being turned inside out. My even, you don't feel like who you are, but that's not a good thing, because I feel like I went back to who I was supposed to be. There's an original blueprint that God had for my life.
Yeah.
And I think we scribble, life teaches us to scribble over some of those blueprints and to forget about what that original plan looked like for us. Mm-hmm. And I think, those daily prescriptions were words they were medicine, helping to heal me and to take me back to that original place of blueprint.
I love that. I love that. Because there's nothing magical. There's nothing. It is only spirit. You said, Lord, I want God, please show me you. I need this. Help me to understand. Little did you know that there were two paths, one of a process and one of the outcome lane. The outcome is pretty much where we used to stay. The who, the what, the when, the where, the why, to be in the control. I know if I do it this way, it'll turn out. But in this journey, you were able to determine when and when you were not in the right lane.
Exactly.
And you've learned more about allowing a process to run its course.
I didn't want the process. I just wanted the purpose.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wow.
I wanted to go right to the purpose. I don't want to, I've had enough pain in my life. I don't want an ounce of pain. Mm-hmm. But that process changes. It takes the scale off of your eyes, and it gives you a new vision. And it doesn't necessarily, I look at how I handle adversity now versus the way that I handle adversity then, and it's quite different, because I know that adversity now is transformation. Mm-hmm. It's pain, is transformation. And where leading and guiding me in this particular pain or this part of my journey. Like I said, I became a child and I remember when I was growing up, you would, when 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 there was pain or there was something going on, you often reached up to your parent with two hands, wanting them to rescue you.
Yes.
Prior to these sessions that we went to, that it was no longer my mother, it was different individuals that I was reaching out to. Different relationship that I had no business being in. But as that journey continued, I began to take those two hands and just reach up to God. And, like a child, just, take me, put me in your arms. And when I didn't have the strength to carry myself because the pain was unbearable, in terms of, because I think looking in the mirror and seeing yourself, or looking internally and seeing yourself, is not an easy thing. Good, bad, and ugly. I was being I've always been a successful person at work, and it was almost like I got to a place where things weren't falling into place like they would normally fall into place in my life. But boy, when they fell into place. And I just kind of walked this journey, just went through the internal pains of surrendering, because that's the hardest thing. That was one of the hardest things in the world for me to do, was to surrender. I surrendered to what felt good. And Renee, that was one of the things that led me to know that I was in the right place in that first session with you, because I noticed how you relied on God to even interact with me. There was constant reminders of, this is not me. I'm just listening to him. And it's your relationship and that oneness that you had with him that kind of let me know that I was in the right place at the right time.
Wow. Thank you for saying that. When a person decides to surrender, you want to be in the safest place possible. And I think that's part of why people find it a challenge to even try to open up, because either they've been burned from opening up to the wrong person at the right time, or the right person at the wrong time, or someone who just did not connect. But I think that's really, really important. And thank you for saying that, because I think that's what our audience needs to know. Help is available, and it may not look like what you think it will look like. But when God sends you somewhere, it is not your decision on who, what, where, and how he does it.
Exactly.
We stay in the process lane.
I found out from you about you just in a conversation of someone expressing the freedom that they were feeling.
Oh, wow.
And they didn't get that from just those traditional services that they were going to. And when I heard her say that, I was saying to myself, it's just no way that you could. And when every Sunday I would see her, she would look great. She would look happy, and you could tell that it was genuine. It's like, I want that. And when I had that conversation with her, she said, I want you to go and see this person. And that was life-changing for me.
Wow. Everywhere you needed strength because you decided to take a step, he took other steps to ensure that you were upheld. And that's just what it is. You don't have to it could be anybody that God uses. But when you are open and you are yielded, be ready. Because I guarantee you, it will not look like what you think.
It doesn't. And even when I used to hear you talk about anything that's not for your higher good, and I listen to Reiki even music sometimes now, where when I feel a lot, that I'm not balanced or whatever on certain days, and I usually listen to Reiki that takes me where I see my higher self. That's I didn't realize how scary that is, because in my traditional belief, that higher place felt like arrogance, and you're too confident in yourself. it's scary because that higher place gets you to see somebody that you thought you would never see, and feel in a way that you thought that you would never feel. People around you don't recognize it. People at work are wondering what happened to me. My team at that time was, we talked about this in my initial visit, was one of the worst teams that was in the organization.
Mm-hmm.
Now my team, because I allowed the work and I surrendered to God, my team is the best team in the organization right now. And I've been managing for 25 years. And this has happened within the last year. I've never seen this type of success at work, and it's all due to surrendering.